Dr. Harrison Blake stood in the center of MathCore Industries' luxury boardroom, surrounded by investors, executives, and cameras broadcasting live to millions. His billion-dollar company was collapsing in real time. Behind him, giant screens flashed red warnings and endless system errors. His world-famous AI platform had failed 3 days earlier, causing deadly crashes and wiping billions from the company's value. Now the richest minds in tech sat in silence. Executives from Toyota, BMW, and Ford watched closely, waiting to see if Blake could save his empire or lose everything. Blake tried to sound confident. "Ladies and gentlemen, we are facing only temporary technical difficulties. My elite engineering team is already solving the issue." But nobody believed him. 50 engineers sat behind laptops, typing desperately. Harvard graduates, MIT coders, Stanford prodigies. Yet none of them had fixed a single thing. Then Toyota's CEO stood. "Temporary? 4 people died yesterday because your system failed." The room went cold. Blake's jaw tightened. Sweat formed on his forehead. His perfect image was cracking. Across the room, near the back wall, a cleaning woman quietly emptied trash bins. Beside her sat her 8-year-old daughter, Maya Williams, holding an old backpack and watching the glowing screens. Nobody noticed her. Nobody cared. To them, she was invisible. But Maya's eyes moved quickly across the flashing code. She studied every warning, every number, every symbol. Her mother Rosa whispered softly, "Maya, don't stare. Important people are working." But Maya kept watching. She had grown up in buildings like this one. While other children played games, Maya listened to programmers talk. She read old coding manuals thrown in trash bins. She learned patterns from abandoned computer screens. This room was her classroom. Blake began pacing angrily. "This is why standards matter," he announced loudly. "Real intelligence comes from elite education, proper credentials, years of training." His eyes passed Maya without seeing her. "You can't just walk in off the street and understand complex systems." Some investors nodded. Then Blake looked toward Rosa. "You there. Why is your child still here?" Rosa froze. "Sorry, sir. We were just leaving." She grabbed Maya's hand. But Maya didn't move. Her eyes remained locked on the screen. She had seen something. Something every billionaire, engineer, and genius in the room had missed. Blake noticed her staring and smirked cruelly. "What is it, little girl? Think you can fix this?" Laughter spread across the room. Maya stood slowly. Her backpack slipped from her shoulder. Her voice was calm. "Maybe." The laughter stopped instantly. Millions watching online leaned closer. Dr. Harrison Blake smiled with cruel amusement and pointed at her. "Fine. Fix it, kid. And I'll give you $100 million. The room exploded with whispers. Rosa looked horrified. Maya simply looked at the screen again. And for the first time that day, the room had gone silent. The billionaire CEO, Harrison Blake, stood frozen as the giant red AI error screens suddenly turned black. Every investor in the boardroom stared in confusion. Then, one by one, the screens began to reboot. New lines of code started appearing faster than anyone could read. Little Maya Williams stepped forward. Still holding her worn backpack, the 8-year-old quietly walked to the massive digital control panel. Her small fingers moved across the keyboard with unbelievable speed. The entire boardroom watched in shock. "Impossible," whispered one engineer. For 6 months, Blake's top MIT developers had failed to repair the collapsing AI system. Millions were being lost every hour. Investors were ready to pull out. But this little girl had found the problem in less than 60 seconds. Maya looked up calmly. "You trained the system to predict human emotion," she said softly. "But you forgot one thing. People change." The room went dead silent again. She pressed enter. Suddenly, every screen flashed green. System restored. Errors removed. RE learning active. Gasps echoed through the boardroom. Investors jumped from their seats. Some began clapping. Others simply stared, speechless. Blake's face turned pale. How did you do that?" he asked. Maya looked at him with quiet confidence. "You built intelligence," she replied, "but not understanding." Her mother stood near the back of the room, tears in her eyes. Minutes earlier, she had been collecting trash while executives laughed at them. Now the richest people in the city were staring at her daughter like a genius. One investor stood up immediately. "I'm doubling my investment." Another shouted, "We need her on our research team." The room erupted with excitement, but Maya only walked back to her mother and held her hand. "We should go," she said. Blake rushed forward. "Wait," he yelled. "Name your price. Anything you want." Maya turned around one last time. "My mom deserves respect," she said. "That's more valuable than money." The words hit harder than any business loss ever could. For the first time in his life, Harrison Blake had no response. The little girl and her mother walked toward the exit while investors stood aside to let them pass. No one laughed now. The next morning, headlines around the world exploded. 8-year-old girl solves billion-dollar AI crisis. Mathcore Industries stock skyrocketed. But something else changed too. Harrison Blake publicly apologized. He created scholarships for underprivileged children and offered Maya's mother a senior management position. As for Maya, she declined every corporate offer, because while billionaires chased profits, she was already thinking about how to change the world. 3 months later, the world had changed because of one little girl. Every major news channel still talked about Maya Williams. Universities wanted her. Billionaires wanted to fund her. Tech companies offered private jets, mansions, and unlimited money just to bring her in. But Maya chose none of them. Instead, she returned to the same small neighborhood where she lived with her mother. The streets were old. The schools were underfunded. Children there had dreams, but no opportunity. Maya stood in front of an abandoned warehouse and smiled. "This is where we build the future," she said. Within weeks, workers transformed the broken building into something unbelievable. A futuristic learning center filled with computers, robotics labs, science rooms, and AI classrooms. People called it impossible. Maya called it necessary. Children from poor families entered for free. Every student received books, meals, laptops, and mentorship. Kids who once had no hope were suddenly learning coding, engineering, medicine, and space science. The media rushed back. How did an 8-year-old build this? Reporters asked. Maya answered simply, "Talent exists everywhere. Opportunity does not." Those words spread across the world. Donations poured in from millions of people. Cities in different countries asked Maya to build more centers. Volunteers arrived from everywhere: teachers, engineers, scientists, doctors. Even Harrison Blake came. The once arrogant billionaire stood quietly outside the academy doors, holding a donation check worth $500 million. When Maya saw him, she smiled politely. "You came." Blake nodded. "You were right," he said. "I spent my life building machines, but forgot people." For the first time, he wasn't a billionaire CEO. He was just a man trying to become better. Maya accepted the donation, but with one condition. "You work here every Saturday." Blake looked confused. "Doing what?" "Cleaning floors," Maya replied. The room burst into laughter. Blake smiled for the first time in years. "Deal." And every Saturday after that, cameras captured one of the richest men alive sweeping floors, carrying books, serving meals, and helping children. The internet exploded. People called it the greatest comeback ever seen. Within 2 years, Maya's learning centers opened in 40 countries. Millions of children gained access to education. Thousands became engineers, doctors, inventors, and leaders. But Maya never changed. She still wore simple clothes. She still walked with her mother every morning. She still believed kindness mattered more than money. One night, standing on a rooftop overlooking a glowing city, her mother asked, "You could have had everything. Why choose this?" Maya smiled at the stars. "I did choose everything." The camera pulls back. Below them, schools shine across the city. Children laugh. Dreams begin. And somewhere in the distance, the future is waking up. 10 years later, the world no longer called Maya Williams a child genius. Now they called her the woman who changed humanity. At just 18 years old, Maya had built the largest free education network on Earth. Her innovation centers stood in more than 100 countries. Millions of children who once lived in poverty were now scientists, engineers, doctors, and leaders. Entire cities had transformed because one girl refused to accept injustice. But Maya was only getting started. One morning, every screen across the globe interrupted normal programming. A live broadcast began. Maya stood inside a massive futuristic facility surrounded by glass walls, quantum computers, and glowing holograms. Behind her stood former students from every nation, young leaders who once had nothing. The world watched in silence. For years, Maya began, humanity has fought over resources, borders, and fear. She paused. Today, we end scarcity. The room behind her opened. A giant machine slowly rose from the floor. It was called Project Dawn, a clean energy system capable of producing unlimited low-cost electricity, using ocean heat, solar grids, and AI balancing networks. No smoke, no fuel wars, no pollution. Scientists around the world were stunned. Governments demanded details. Markets shook. Energy companies panicked. And millions cried tears of joy. Maya smiled. This technology belongs to everyone. She released every patent for free. The internet exploded. Within months, countries began replacing dirty power plants. Remote villages got electricity for the first time. Water purification systems spread worldwide. Food production increased. Poverty began dropping faster than experts believed possible. But not everyone celebrated. Powerful elites who profited from crisis secretly tried to stop her. Cyber attacks targeted Project Dawn. Media lies spread online. Threats arrived daily. Maya never reacted. Instead, she walked into the control room, rolled up her sleeves, and worked beside her team day and night. Former billionaire Harrison Blake, now older and wiser, stood beside her. "They're afraid of losing power," he said. Maya looked at the world map glowing on the wall. "Then we give power to everyone." She pressed one final command. Thousands of dawn stations activated worldwide at the same second. Cities lit up. Deserts bloomed with water farms. Hospitals gained non-stop electricity. Schools stayed open at night. Children studied under lights where darkness once ruled. The whole planet seemed to breathe again. Crowds filled streets celebrating from New York to Nairobi, Tokyo to Lahore, London to Rio. News anchors called it the greatest technological moment in history. But Maya quietly slipped away from the cameras. Later that night, she returned to the small neighborhood where it all began. The old streets were now modern, clean, and alive with laughter. She found her mother sitting outside their first home. "You changed the world," her mother whispered. 20 years later, history books divided time into two eras. Before Maya, after Maya. At 28 years old, Maya Williams had become the most respected leader on Earth, without ever running for office, owning an empire, or asking for power. Nations no longer fought over oil. Food shortages had nearly disappeared. Education was free in most of the world. Clean energy covered continents. Crime had fallen where opportunity had risen. And still, Maya lived simply. No palace. No convoy. No luxury obsession. She still wore plain clothes. Still visited schools unannounced. And still spent evenings with her mother whenever she could. But one night, everything changed. Deep space observatories detected a massive object entering the solar system. At first, scientists thought it was a comet. Then telescopes sharpened the image. It was artificial. A colossal alien vessel larger than cities, moving silently toward Earth. Global panic began instantly. Stock markets crashed. Governments activated militaries. Religious leaders called emergency gatherings. Social media descended into chaos. For the first time in decades, humanity was afraid together. World leaders demanded Maya take charge. Inside the United Global Council chamber, presidents, generals, scientists, and billionaires argued loudly. Weapons ready. Evacuate capitals. Cut communications. Prepare for war. Maya listened quietly. Then she stood. "Fear is loud," she said, "but wisdom is calm." The room fell silent. She ordered every weapon system to stand down. Many leaders protested. If they attack us, we die. Maya looked directly at them. If we attack first, we prove we learn nothing. She entered the Global Communication Center. Billions watched live as the alien vessel stopped above Earth, covering skies with shadow and light. No missiles launched. No armies moved. Only Maya walked alone into the center of an open landing field. A beam of blue light descended. Wind roared. The ship opened. Tall luminous beings emerged, peaceful, elegant, ancient. The world held its breath. Their leader stepped forward and spoke through a translated frequency. We have watched your species for centuries. Most civilizations destroy themselves before unity. It looked at Maya. But you changed the pattern. Images filled the sky, Earth's transformation. Children learning, wars ending. Deserts blooming, cities powered by light. The being bowed. We came not to conquer, but to welcome. People across the planet cried, laughed, and collapsed in relief. Maya smiled gently. Then welcome to Earth. Over the next years, humanity entered a new age. Alien medicine cured diseases once thought impossible. Interstellar science expanded human knowledge overnight. Travel beyond the solar system became reality. But the visitors said something surprising. They did not come because of technology. They came because humanity had finally shown compassion greater than greed. And one woman had led the way. 100 years later, humanity had spread beyond Earth. Cities floated above the clouds of Venus. Crystal colonies shimmered. Beneath the oceans of Europa, great gardens bloomed inside domes on Mars. Massive starships crossed, the galaxy carrying teachers, scientists, artists, and dreamers. War had become a lesson in history books. Hunger was remembered only in museums. Energy flowed endlessly. Knowledge belonged to everyone. And in the center of this golden age stood one name spoken with love across worlds. Maya Williams. Though she had passed many decades earlier, her teachings shaped every civilization. Children on distant planets still learned her first rule. Power means lifting others. Every year, billions gathered for Maya Day, celebrating the woman who turned survival into hope. But on the 100th anniversary of her passing, something impossible happened. At the Galactic Memory Archive, an ancient sealed chamber, never before opened, activated by itself. Alarms echoed. Scholars, leaders, and citizens rushed inside. At the center of the chamber stood a glowing capsule with Maya's symbol engraved across it. A hologram flickered alive. It was Maya. Young, calm, smiling. The entire galaxy watched live. If you are seeing this, the hologram said, then humanity survived long enough to deserve its next step. The room fell silent. Behind her, stars appeared in a rotating map. There is a signal, she continued, older than Earth, older than your oldest records. Coordinates lit up far beyond explored space. It called to me when I was a child. I chose not to follow it until humanity was ready. Gasps spread through the crowd. This is not a warning, Maya said softly. It is an invitation. The message ended. The galaxy erupted. Scientists confirmed the coordinates were real. A repeating mathematical pulse was still active beyond known space. No ship had ever traveled that far. Within days, a historic mission was announced. The Star of Dawn expedition. The greatest minds of every human world and allied civilizations would journey together to answer Maya's final mystery. The flagship was unlike anything ever built, an enormous silver vessel powered by living light, carrying explorers, historians, and children chosen from many planets. Why children? Because Maya once said curiosity sees what fear cannot. As crowds gathered across worlds, statues lit up, bells rang, and skies filled with celebration ships. Before launch, the captain asked a young girl from Mars to place the final key into the control core. What should we name this mission log? He asked. She smiled. Chapter 2. Engines awakened like suns. The colossal ship rose into space while billions cheered from Earth, Mars, Europa, Titan, and cities orbiting distant stars. As it crossed the edge of known territory, Sensors detected structures ahead. Ancient. Massive. Impossible. Entire worlds shaped into geometric patterns. Gateways larger than moons.